We want to look now at what the pandemic is doing to women and the distinct burdens they are facing. A recent survey found roughly a quarter of women were considering reducing hours, switching to less demanding jobs, or leaving the workforce altogether. 2 million women have dropped out of the labor force just in the past year. Paul Solman has the Making Sense story, and as part of our Chasing the Dream series on poverty and opportunity.
The day that our school system announced that our children were going to be starting remote, I turned in my resignation.
Nurse and mother of 3 Shannon Neiman quit to watch her kids in August. In October, retail worker and single mom of 2 Michelle Perez was let go.
Because it was no longer convenient for them to actually accommodate the schedule that worked for me.
Gabriela Villa Gomez Morales, also single, worked at a daycare center until it closed in March.
If it wasn't for my sister helping me out, I'd probably be out in the street with my kids.
When travel to Maui halted, so did Jessica Oyanagi's tourist-dependent photography business.
It's really hard at 40 years old to be on unemployment, food stamps, living with my parents at this age, at this time in my life.
These are just some of the faces of the so-called she session.
In the 2008 recession, people called it a man session because it was men's jobs that went first. That's because we were losing jobs in construction and finance, places where men tend to dominate.
Economist Betsy Stevenson says the gender dimension of this recession is different.
We lost jobs in retail, in leisure and hospitality, in healthcare services, and those are all jobs where women hold the majority of the jobs, and they actually got the majority of the layoffs.
After the Great Recession of '08, the economy shifted away from male-dominated manufacturing to female-heavy services, says economist, mom, and blogger Diane Lim.
People seem to get more pleasure out of experiences, a lot more than buying things like having a fancy car or buying a big house. And now, all these really people-intensive jobs, those were exactly the jobs that got hammered.
It's so interesting because in stories I've done in the past, the safe jobs were the face-to-face jobs.
That's right. So all those things that were considered essential services were exactly the services that we were told, look, you can't do that right now because it's not safe to be so close to other people.
Perhaps nobody knows the risk better than direct care workers, like single mom Catherine Namasango. In April, her manager told her to assist a COVID-positive patient.
And I think about it and I say, I don't have any other job. I don't have any other income. And my kids, they have to eat. I have to pay my rent. I have to pay my bills. So I have to do this job.
Did you get coronavirus?
Yeah, I had coronavirus.
Did your kids get it too?
All of us, we were COVID positive because our house is small. We use the same bathroom, the same toilet, the same kitchen.
Women are being disproportionately hit in another way. Take Jessica Oyanagi, whose tourist-based business went bust.
If I wanted to try to go find just like a traditional 40-hour-a-week job, that would be pretty much impossible.
Because she's caring for her young daughters. As schools and daycare centers across the country remain closed, mothers are forced to fill the care gap.
So my husband is an essential worker. He's a welder, so he hasn't lost his job. He's continued to work throughout the pandemic. So, it's a pretty black and white choice.
Shannon Neiman quit her dream job as a lactation nurse to tend to her school-age kids while her husband managed his business.
I really felt like my job was a ministry. That's how much I loved it. I cried. But my husband also has a responsibility to his 13 workers and all of their families.
According to the Census Bureau, women are 3 times more likely than men to have left their job because of childcare during the pandemic.
I think it's amplifying the inherent bias, not just in the economy, but in our households.
Can you get in your seat, please? Because we have to leave soon.
If kids are relying on moms to make sure that they get out the door in the morning more than they're relying on dads, that's a small gap. But if the kids are relying on mom to get them all the way through the school day because they're doing school from home, that's a giant gap.
Economist Melissa Kearney tweeted a recent exchange with her children. "Why don't any of you bother Dad?" she asked. The response, "He's not as useful." Moms are more than 3 times as likely as dads to do most of the work at home. It's unpaid and thus not even counted in GDP. But consider the work women do that is counted.
They get the majority of college degrees, they get the majority of advanced degrees, and not only that, but they're coming at the top of their classes. You literally cannot have a V-shaped recovery if we don't get the women back.
But the hardest hit moms are the 15 million raising kids by themselves. After Gabriela Villa Gomez Morales lost her daycare job, she and her 4 kids moved in with her sister, where the mom's been helping her kids with online school.
My second grader, I am sitting right next to her.
What would she be doing if you weren't sitting next to her?
I feel like she would probably get into another app, probably go to YouTube and play other games and not focus on what she's doing.
But if you get a job, then who takes care of the kids?
I don't think I would have to find some, I don't know. It's hard.
Are you sort of just trying not to think about it?
Yeah, and get myself overwhelmed.
Single mom Michelle Perez worked retail for years. But with her kids at home doing virtual school, she couldn't work the hours she used to. That's why she was laid off.
My son was supposed to start kindergarten, so I could actually go back to school and start working more. But here we are, I'm at home full time. I'm already struggling with trying to get them to learn. As much as I try, it's not working.
So how are you getting by?
My roommate, he is actually completely taking care of us for the most part through all of this. And, you know, that is very hard to kind of accept because I kind of feel like, you know, I'm not contributing to my family at all. And then I'm putting him in this position that he also shouldn't be in.
Women account for 2/3 of the job losses in retail. The economic implications, in Stevenson's view?
I think we are creating a system with worse inequality than we already have today, and we're already in a pretty unequal society.
Michelle Perez and her kids have a long road ahead.
You know, how far back is this going to set us? This was supposed to be the time where I was able to really start working towards changing our lives. And now this is going to set me back for years. Like I have no income coming in, but I'm in debt. And I don't know how I'm going to change that.
For the PBS NewsHour, this is Paul Salman.